Ladies and gentlemen, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has just uncovered a massive and frankly disgusting scandal going on inside of the NSA, the National Security Agency. Take a look at this.
More than 100 intelligence officers are being fired for participating in sexually explicit conversations in National Security Agency chat rooms, all while on the clock.
You hear that? More than 100 NSA intelligence officers were using official government chat rooms for their own private group sexting sessions. Absolutely disgusting. These are the people that are supposed to be protecting the American public, and instead, they're using taxpayer-funded resources to have cybersex all day. Unfreaking believable. But okay, so what happens to all of these NSA agents that have been engaging in this sort of behavior?
What we're going to do has already been done. There are over 100 people from across the intelligence community that contributed to and participated in this, what is really just an egregious violation of trust, what to speak of like basic rules and standards around professionalism. I put out a directive today that they all will be terminated and their security clearances will be revoked.
So here's the deal, folks. That's all the absolute minimum of what should be done, in my opinion. Like we said earlier, these people are supposed to be our nation's top intelligence officers, working diligently to protect the American public from God knows what type of threats. Instead, however, they were abusing their position within the federal government for their own perverse satisfaction. And now, folks, Tulsi is going to keep breaking all of this down for us, but I want to say real quick, if you guys enjoy the daily news coverage, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a lot with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm. But okay, so what else was really going on here?
But the thing here, Jesse, is like we got to take a step back because this is just barely scratching the surface. When you see what these people were saying, and thanks to Chris Rufo for putting it all out online, they were brazen in using an NSA platform intended for professional use to conduct this kind of really horrific behavior. And they were brazen in doing this because when was the last time anyone was really held accountable? Certainly not over the last 4 years, certainly not over the last 10, maybe 20 years. When we look at some of the biggest violations of the American people's trust in the intelligence communities.
Well, here's the thing, guys. Not only were these people not being held accountable for this sort of behavior, it's actually much worse than that. You see, these perverse national intelligence agents actually had the full diversity, equity, and inclusion endorsement from the Biden administration, meaning that this sort of behavior wasn't just tolerated, no, it was explicitly endorsed. And so, folks, we're going to take a look at everything that went on here, but as a warning, these people were sick in the head, so maybe some viewer discretion here is advised.
The messages, dating back 2 years, revealed employees from various intelligence agencies discussing their experiences with gender reassignment surgery, artificial genitalia, and polyamory. Other messages included graphic descriptions of laser hair removal, hormone replacement therapy, and breast augmentation. But some discussions included talks about sexual arousal post-operation and other lewd sexual experiences, including weekend gangbangs. According to the City Journal, the sex chats were under the guise of the NSA's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, with activists at the agency using LGBTQ+ employee resource groups to turn their sexual desires into official work duties. A current NSA employee told the City Journal the groups, quote, spent all day recruiting activists and holding meetings with titles including pride and transgender community inclusion to ultimately talk about sex.
Absolutely disgusting behavior. And did you guys catch that last part? These disgusting national intelligence agents were recruiting people to their perverse taxpayer-funded chat rooms under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, there's actually something kind of funny about all of this in a depressing way. The last time we all got an NSA leak, it was from Edward Snowden, and we learned that the government was spying on all of us. With this, however, we've discovered that all these people at the NSA do is have online group cybersex sessions. So what that means is that 12 years ago, the NSA was corrupt, yeah, but at least in an arguably productive way. These days, they're just sexting each other and doing nothing all day. What does that mean? They're all too incompetent to even be productively corrupt. But okay, so how is the NSA internally handling all of this?
Intelligence agencies were told to identify employees who participated in these sexually explicit chat room conversations and terminate their employment by Friday. In a statement, the NSA says potential misuse of these platforms by a small group does not represent the community, adding that investigations are ongoing.
A small group? We're talking about hundreds of people here. And like we said earlier, hundreds of people weren't behaving like this under a veil of secrecy, no. This behavior was out in the open in broad daylight and explicitly endorsed by the Biden administration. Because that's the only way that makes sense that hundreds of people think it's acceptable to behave like this. But you know what? Okay, take a look at what Tulsi Gabbard herself had to say about all of this.
Today's action in holding these individuals accountable is just the beginning of what we're seeing across the Trump administration, which is carrying out the mandate the American people gave him. Clean house, root out that rot and corruption and weaponization and politicization so we can start to rebuild that trust in these institutions that are charged with an important mission of serving the American people, ensuring our safety, security, and freedom.
And folks, yeah, that's really what it's all about. This is sort of what I was talking about with that Snowden joke I made earlier. It's one thing if our intelligence agencies are corrupt, but in this case, they're hedonistic, incompetent, and just completely disgusting. It also makes you wonder, if this sort of stuff was going on at the National Security Agency, the NSA, one of our country's top intelligence agencies, where else is this sort of behavior going on? In fact, now that I really think about it, now that this news has broke, I'd imagine that government employees across the country are probably scurrying to delete their own compromising chat logs. But you know what? That's probably a good thing. I don't know about you guys, maybe call me old-fashioned, but I just don't personally think that government employees should be using taxpayer-funded resources as an outlet with which to talk about their profane sexual fetishes. So hey, thank God that Tulsi Gabbard is our new Director of National Intelligence, thank God that President Trump is back in the White House, and also thank God that this sort of behavior is finally getting shut down. Although, as I think we'd all agree here, this sort of behavior never should have been happening in the first place. I'm telling you guys, as more of this stuff just continues to get uncovered, it becomes clearer and clearer that this country really could not have survived another 4 years of Biden or, God forbid, Kamala. Do you guys think that this sort of disgusting behavior would have been stopped under a Kamala Harris presidency? I sure don't. Because hey, it seems to me that under their leadership, this country was not only becoming financially bankrupt, it's worse than that, it was becoming morally bankrupt as well. But you know what, folks, I think that's going to be a wrap for this video, so please go down below and drop a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this stuff. Please like the video if you liked it. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Like I said earlier, it really does help a ton with my daily struggle against the YouTube algorithm, and I really appreciate it. Thank you all very much for tuning in today, and of course, as always, stay safe.